Welcome back to another episode of the DFS Express presented by Loudmouth MMA, MMA Today, and the DFS Army. I am your host, the Daily Fantasy Sniper, and we are back. It has been a 3-week break for MMA, but this week we have UFC 224 from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The main event is Amanda Nunes and Raquel Rocky Pennington for the women's bantamweight title. Before we get started, guys, make sure to check out all those sponsors I just mentioned. This episode usually includes a DraftKings lineup builder. I'm no longer going to be doing that as part of these videos. All the daily fantasy content, lineup builder, some of my projections, exposures, check all that out over at DFS Army. If you sign up to become a VIP member, use the code SNIPER for 10% off, and you'll get really good stuff in there, not just for MMA. I do soccer, and then they have all the other sports covered, MLB, NBA. So just wanted to make that quick announcement. Other than that, make sure you're listening to all the episodes of Loudmouth MMA, and you get all your MMA news from MMA-today.com. As a mouthful up front, but it's been 3 weeks. I wanted to give everyone a reminder. And if you don't already, please follow me on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. But now we can get into the good stuff, breaking down these fights. Each fight, DraftKings specific lean. So there are a couple instances where I actually lean one way, but I think the better DraftKings play is the other fighter. So the main event, as I mentioned, is Amanda Nunes, 9,500. She takes on Raquel Pennington at 6,700. Nunes really should just outclass Pennington everywhere in this fight. Pennington hasn't fought in 18 months. Nunes is a really underrated champion. Great power for that division. Good grappling, BJJ, strong top game. Her weakness, we've seen in the past, is her gas tank. That's really Pennington's only path to victory here, is if Nunes gasses out. She conserved herself really well in the second Shevchenko fight, but is she going to do that here with the home crowd behind her? If she doesn't get a finish, things could get dicey for her in rounds 3, 4, 5. I don't think that happens. I think Nunes goes out, steamrolls Pennington. She's definitely my preferred play here. Really strong pick. Her price tag's up there, so you may not be able to fit her in as often as you like, and I will have a couple shares of Raquel Pennington just in case Nunes throws everything away in round 1 and something crazy happens. It's been a little while. We know crazy things happen in MMA. I'm not going to full fade Raquel Pennington. Co-main event, Jacare Souza, 8,400, Kelvin Gastelum, 7,800. Another fight, more so than the main event, that I'm going to want exposure to in both sides in tournaments. Gastelum has really fast hands. His boxing is coming along really well. And he has the thing about beating legends. He took out Vitor, he took out Bisping. The problem here is he's really outsized for 185 pounds. He should be a welterweight. He couldn't get the weight under control. I think it's a lack of discipline. I don't know for sure. I think that's the common perception, though. He's trying to bulk up, but I think he's going to be massively outsized here. I want to see him at weigh-ins. Jacare just needs to get this fight to the ground. Kelvin does have good takedown defense and better hands, and that's where I'm just cautious of. I'm not going to fade Kelvin, even though the pick here is Jacare, because Jacare has to close the distance, and Gastelum could catch him. Totally irrelevant possibility. Souza is he's aging. You never know when a guy's chin is going to go. We have seen him finished. So the size advantage, though, I think is going to help Jacare get this down. Ultimately, his BJJ is so good. I think he finds a finish. But as I said, exposure to this fight, Jacare is my preferred play at 8,400. Mackenzie Dern, 9,100. Amanda Bobby Cooper, 7,100, who's coming off of a win against Angela Magana. It was a good segue because I see a lot of people on Cooper because of her big win over Magana. I think it's more that Dern did not look good in her debut against Yoder. It was her debut. Hopefully she learned a bunch. She does have camp issues right now with MMA Lab. The problem is I don't think Cooper is that good. They're trying to set up Dern here. Cooper got torn through on the ground by Cynthia Calvillo. So everybody slow down on the ABC Cooper train. And I get Dern didn't look good. She's wild. Her stand-up is bad. She throws everything behind it, and for as bad as it is, it lands every once in a while. And the main point, though, is that I don't think Cooper can back up enough and counter enough. I don't think she's technical enough to piece up Dern for 3 rounds. She doesn't have strong enough hands to put her away. Dern just has to get this down to the ground once, and I think it's a wrap. I think she does that. I like Dern here for 9,100. I do think Cooper will be popular. So as the week goes on, I'm going to gauge that popularity, and I might full fade Cooper just if I think that's where the leverage is. John Lineker, 9,000. Brian Kelleher, 7,200. Kelleher keeps making me look bad. I don't see it, but I think he's 3-1 in the UFC. Keeps proving me wrong, but I'm going to stick with it. Both guys are active. They should stand and trade. Lineker, for this one, you look at his striking. He had a striking match. I get Henan Barrow. He's just depleted. He had nothing left in that fight. Lineker has looked good as of late. Kelleher struggled in a striking match against Damian Stasiak. Not struggled, but he got hit in that fight. He was taking damage from Damian Stasiak. John Lineker is a different animal. They're going to stand and trade. Lineker obviously has hands of stone. It is his nickname. They're in Brazil, which will be a theme in the undercard for me. I like John Lineker here at 9,000, though Kelleher has confidence and nothing to lose, and he's made me look bad repeatedly, so take that for what you will. It's one of these guys I seem to not get right, but John Lineker's the pick again at 9,000. Lyoto Machida, 8,900. Vitor Belfort, 7,300. Something I just saw on Twitter, it's a good point, is I'm assuming that Vitor Belfort is going to show up and not TRT Vitor. Something to keep an eye on. Weigh-ins, I'm definitely going to wait until after weigh-ins on Friday, like I always do, to finalize my lineups with fights falling out. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Let's see if Vitor is juiced here. Otherwise, this fight is going to be, and I think either way, this fight is probably either going to end in the first 90 seconds with huge fireworks, or it's going to be a boring Lyoto Machida fight. Typically, Belfort rushes. He's got 90 seconds of gas in him. Maybe he catches Machida. Machida's chin has got to be on the decline. They're both up there in age, obviously, Brazilian legends. So something crazy is going to happen in the first 90 seconds, whether Belfort lands something or gets countered and put out, or just Vitor, he just totally fades, and Machida could dance around him. And it could be another slow fight like the Eric Anders fight, only this is 3 rounds. So definitely a GPP fight for me, and I want to see how Belfort looks. Right now, I'm going to go with Machida. He's shown he has more. He has more to give still in MMA. Looked decent against Anders. He's the pick here. Carl Roberson, 8,600. Cesar Mutanchi Ferreira, 7,600. Roberson looked great in his debut against Darren Stewart. He's got 5 straight first-round finishes. The question is, what happens after that? He's a glory kickboxer, obviously has big power. He's an explosive athlete, but he's still green in MMA. He looked good on the ground briefly against Darren Stewart, showing he has more than just the kickboxing. Ferreira has chin issues, but since those have kind of developed, he hides it much better. He doesn't get in these wild exchanges. He looks for the takedown. He's got 16 in his last 6 fights. Can Roberson stop them? What if it goes to the second round? There's so many question marks. They're in Brazil. I think it's likely to end inside the distance. Either Roberson catches Ferreira or Ferreira gets him down and subs him out because Roberson is green on the mats. My small lean is Cesar Mutanchi in Brazil, so he's the preferred play at 7,600. Roberson, though, is definitely in play for tournaments, and I will have some shares. Junior Albini, 8,200. Alexei Olenek, 8,000. I've been yelling and screaming. I am anti-Alexei Olenek. He's got a padded record in a bad division. He's beat up heavyweights and got all these subs against bad competition, guys. He's just, he quit against, I think it was Curtis Blades. He has got power subs, but if Tim Johnson couldn't take down Junior Albini, how is Alexei Olenek going to do it? He doesn't have a great gas tank. I just don't think Olenek is good. He has the opportunity for a sub, a subber's chance. We say a puncher's chance. But I'm pretty high on Albini here. I get he did not look good against Arlovsky. Maybe it was in his head. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I can't go all in on Albini because of how bad he looked against Arlovsky. But I think he walks through Olenek here. He's got, obviously, the takedown defense to keep it on the feet. Much better striking. Alexei Olenek is not Andrei Arlovsky. I think he bounces back here again in Brazil. It's a good price. 8,200 Junior Albini's to play. Davi Ramos, 8,500. Nick Hines, 7,700. Ramos is 101 in the UFC, world-class BJJ. He subbed Chris Gritzmacher last time. Before that, he made his UFC debut on short notice against Sergio Moraes. Looked decent up a weight class. Whereas Nick Hines is 4-1 in the UFC. He's fought a lot of just not good guys, and he's not very active to where even if he does win, I don't think he pays off the salary. Ramos is elite on the ground. Hein has really good BJJ. Straight up pick'em wise, Hein is definitely alive, and this is one I've been flip-flopping on. But DraftKings wise, I think Ramos is the only one who scores well in a win. Sub, ground game transitions, passes, all that stuff. Davi Ramos, while the fight may be close, I think he is far and away the better DraftKings play at 8,500. Elizu Zaleski dos Santos, 8,100. Sean Strickland, 8,100. Close fight, one I've been flip-flopping on. Sean Strickland's only losses are to Kamaru Usman and Santiago Ponzinibbio, but he doesn't have any signature wins either. Court McGee last time out, I mean, good win. He needs his takedowns to get success to be successful, and that's where things get interesting because those Zaleskis on a 4-fight win streak against Max Griffin, Lyman Good, Keita Nakamura, Omari Akhmedov. He really struggles with takedown defense, just 40%. That's a bad thing against Strickland. Nicholas Dalby took him down 6 times. Akhmedov 3 times, Nakamura 5 times. He gets right back up, but in a close fight, just for DraftKings and my picking style, I'll take the grappler and Sean Strickland. When I first started breaking this fight down, though, I was on Dos Santos because he has power, he's tough, he throws, he exchanges. I've been swayed back by the grappling and just Zaleski's historic takedown defense issues, though I do think it has improved. I think Strickland could control him here. I'll take Sean Strickland. Very close fight. Warley Alves, 8,800. Sultan Aliyev, 7,400. Aliyev went to a split decision with Bojan Velichkovic last time out. And before that, he was KO'd by Kenny Robertson. I just don't think he's UFC caliber. In his skill set from what I've seen, and those two results kind of back up what I'm thinking. Alves is fighting in Brazil. Tons of subs on his record. He bounced back with a win against a short notice replacement, Salim Tuhari, last time out. He has power, but he's more interested in grappling, which, I mean, beating the drum here that you look for grappling on DraftKings. My worry is the Alves cardio. He could fade. I still like him for DK. I think he gets a sub here. I'm not impressed with Sultan Aliyev, so Warley Alves is my play at 8,800. Thales Leite, 7,900. Jack Hermanson, 8,300. The narrative is Leite's a shot. He's got losses, but his losses are to Tavares, Jaco, which isn't a great one, Musasi, and Bisping. His wins are against Sam Alvey and Chris Camozzi. It's hard to tell with that competition. I think it's a good matchmaking that Hermanson's right in the middle. The veteran, you know what you're going to get, though. He's going to look to grapple. He's got a big overhand right. Hermanson is also hard to gauge. His wins are against Brad Scott, Alex Nicholson, Scott Askham. Okay, last time out he was blasted by Thiago Santos. He's also 0-2 in Brazil, but he has that experience now. The key to this fight, that another one I was back and forth on, I think Hermanson's movement is going to be the major factor. I think he can dance around late teasers. As long as he doesn't get caught, I think he can pick his way to a decision. It is in Brazil, though, which those Brazil judges, it's really hard to gauge. Hermanson's my very small lean here. I'm not sure how much interest I have in this fight altogether, but I'll take Hermanson at 8,300 because of his movement. Rustab Amiv, 8,700 against Alberto Mina, 7,500. Mina is a third-degree black belt. He's 13-0. This is just his 4th fight in the UFC, and he hasn't fought in 2 years. He's 36. His last fight, though, was 2 years ago against Mike Pyle. He's got a background in judo, too. Amiv, though, he's debuted against Alvey. He's a strong guy. He's fought decent in M1. I think he's a good prospect. I actually just really like Alberto Mina, especially at the price of 7,500 where I need dogs. I'm worried about his deterioration, lack of activity. You never know when a guy like that's going to fall apart. I just don't think Amiv, even in a win, can score super highly unless Mina's chin finally goes and he gets a knockout. There's more ways for Mina to pay off his salary. So for the dog price, he's my preferred play. First fight of the card, Marcus Perez, 9,200 against James Boknovic, 7,000. Both guys are wild, but this one's minus 195 to end inside the distance. I think you have to have exposure to it. Both guys are wild. Perez also has a decent ground game, awkward attacks. He's in Brazil, which I think is what's going to push me over the edge here, even though he's a big, big favorite. Looked decent against Eric Anders. Minus 320 is a lot for him. Boknovic has lots of subs in his own right. This fight is at middleweight. He's coming back down from light heavyweight. Could have a size advantage. He was KO'd in his debut. He couldn't handle the pressure of Trevin Giles. It's one of those, I'm leaning Perez in Brazil, and it's going to finish. I don't think I want this in cash. I'll have exposure to both sides in GPP. My lean, though, preferred play is Marcus Perez, 9,200. That's what I have for you this week. Guys, remember to check out all these sponsors I mentioned in the beginning of this episode. Give me a follow on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. Good luck in your contests, and I will see you next week as we have a run of cards.